I am going to break your heart by sharing this news that I have been in the hospital recently and I was diagnosed with. My beloved child, tonight I speak with a voice that trembles between truth and revelation because what I am about to share carries the weight of moments I never thought I would face. And yet they have arrived like a storm that knocks without warning. I remember the cold sterile lights of the hospital corridor, the echo of footsteps, the quiet whispers between nurses as if something sacred or devastating was being guarded in silence. I walked through those doors believing everything was ordinary, believing life was predictable, believing tomorrow would unfold the same way yesterday did. But there are days when destiny bends, when time pauses, when the air around you becomes heavy enough to feel like a message. And in that moment, I knew my story was about to change forever. The doctor's eyes were soft, his words wrapped in hesitation, and before he even spoke, my heart already sensed that my world was about to fracture in ways that would not be easy to explain. And as I sat there between hope and fear, I realized that sometimes the truth is not loud. It whispers, and yet its echo never stops ringing. There was a silence that filled the room, a silence that carried memories, promises, unspoken dreams, and every heartbeat that had led me to that very second. I felt every second stretch longer than the last. As if time wanted me to examine every fragment of my life before hearing what awaited me. The walls around me held stories of others who had walked this path, some who had found strength they never knew existed, others who learned the meaning of courage in the quietness of uncertainty. And when the doctor finally spoke, his voice carried both gravity and compassion. As though he knew that his words would not only touch my body but my soul, he explained the tests, the scans, the careful observations, each detail pulling me deeper into a reality I had never prepared myself for. I listened not with my ears but with my heart because sometimes understanding does not come from knowledge. It comes from the tremor of realization that life will never feel the same again. And in that moment I understood what it means to stand on the edge between strength and vulnerability. As the truth unfolded, I felt a wave of emotions crash through me. Fear, shock, disbelief, and a strange form of clarity that only appears when life reminds you how fragile it truly is. I was diagnosed with something that carried weight, something that demanded resilience, something that asked me to rewrite my understanding of tomorrow. It was as if every memory of laughter, every quiet evening, every sunrise I had taken for granted suddenly became a blessing. I could feel more deeply than ever before. I thought of the people I love, the promises I made to myself, the dreams I still hold close to my heart. And I realized that our greatest battles are not always fought in loud arenas. Sometimes they are fought in hospital rooms, in late-night reflections, in the steady rhythm of monitored heartbeats that remind us that life is still here, still breathing, still asking us to rise. And even though the news broke something inside me, it also awakened a strength I never knew was waiting within. In that fragile moment between tears and determination, I made a silent vow that no matter how heavy the journey becomes, I will not allow fear to erase the light inside my spirit. I will walk forward with grace, with courage, with the awareness that every second now carries deeper meaning. The world outside the hospital seemed different when I stepped out. The sky felt wider, the air felt more alive, and every sound carried a sweetness I had never noticed before. I understood that sometimes life gives us storms, not to drown us, but to remind us of the power hidden within our breath, within our resilience, within the love that surrounds us even when everything feels uncertain. And as I held this truth in my heart, I knew that sharing it would not only change how you see me, it would change how you see life itself. Because my journey is not just about what I was diagnosed with, it is about awakening, transformation, and the realization that every heartbeat is a miracle in motion. So, as you listen to my story, I want you to feel every layer of emotion, every tremor of vulnerability, every flicker of strength rising quietly beneath the surface. This is not just my truth. It is a reminder that life is fragile, unpredictable, and yet profoundly beautiful even in its most uncertain moments. I stand here not as someone broken but as someone awakened, someone who now understands the value of every breath, every connection, every silent prayer whispered into the night. And as this journey unfolds, I want you to walk with me, not in fear, but in hope, not in sorrow, but in courage. Because every chapter ahead carries meaning, purpose, and a depth that will shape everything that comes next. My beloved child, there is a moment after the storm where the world feels strangely quiet, as if every sound is listening to the feelings inside your chest. And tonight, I stand in that quiet space, carrying the truth that has reshaped my days and rewritten the meaning of every sunrise. When I left the hospital, I did not walk out as the same person who had walked in. I carried with me the echo of the diagnosis, the careful tone of the doctor's words, and the silent courage I had to gather within my trembling hands. I replayed every conversation in my mind. The confirmation, the questions, the uncertainty, and every step I took. Back home felt like I was crossing a bridge between who I was and who I am becoming. The air outside felt heavier yet more real, as if life itself was whispering, "Feel everything." Because now every feeling means more than before. And while fear tried to grow inside me, something stronger rose quietly beside it, the determination to keep speaking, to keep breathing, to keep honoring the journey my heart was now called to walk. There were long nights when I sat alone in the soft glow of a faint light, thinking about all the moments I had never paused to appreciate. The laughter shared with loved ones, the gentle conversations that seemed ordinary at the time, the simple touch of someone holding my hand without realizing how precious that connection truly is. I thought about how fragile we really are, how easily life can shift directions, and how important it is to speak one's truth before time turns those unsaid words into silent regrets. And in those moments of reflection, I realized that my story was not meant to stay hidden within the walls of my heart. It was meant to be spoken because stories like this remind us that every soul walking this earth is carrying something unseen, something delicate, something brave. That is why, my beloved child, if this message reaches your heart in even the smallest way, share it forward. Not as a gesture of habit but as an act of compassion so that someone else who is silently fighting may feel less alone and may find strength in knowing that their journey is understood. There is a powerful truth in knowing that every listener becomes part of this story. Every viewer becomes a companion in this path. Every presence becomes a light along the way. And so if you feel the weight of these words, if your heart recognizes the emotion within them, speak to me through your thoughts. Let your feelings flow like a gentle river. Leave your voice where mine can read it. Because your words are not just responses. They are bridges of connection between hearts that may never meet yet still understand one another deeply. Your reflections, your support, your silent prayers wrapped in simple sentences. They become a comforting blanket in moments when the night feels longer than usual. And as this journey continues, if you wish to walk beside me through every chapter ahead, stay close, remain here, follow this story as it unfolds. Because every upcoming moment carries meaning, revelation, and a truth that deserves to be witnessed by those who care. As I began to process everything, I noticed how life started revealing gentle lessons in places I had never paid attention to before. In the way the wind brushed against the trees, in the quiet hum of the evening, in the stillness before dawn, I realized that strength is not always loud or heroic. Sometimes it is found in the simple act of waking up and choosing to face another day, even when your heart feels heavy. Sometimes it is found in vulnerability. In honesty, in allowing others to see your fragile side without shame or hesitation. And standing here sharing my reality with you, I have discovered a new kind of courage, one that is not built on perfection, but on truth, sincerity, and the willingness to walk forward even when the path is unfamiliar. So listen closely, my beloved child. This is not just a confession of my pain. It is a testimony of resilience, of transformation, of the mysterious beauty hidden within life's unexpected trials. I am still standing, still breathing, still hoping, and still believing that every challenge carries a hidden purpose, every tear carries wisdom, and every heartbeat reminds us that we are still here for a reason. And as this story continues to unfold, I want you to stay with me, feel every emotion, walk every step, and witness how even in the face of uncertainty, the human spirit learns to rise, to glow, and to transform sorrow into strength. My beloved child, as the days moved forward after that life-altering moment, I found myself walking through a world that felt both familiar and entirely new, as if every corner of my reality now carried deeper meaning, and every sound carried a hidden echo of reflection. There were moments when I would sit in silence, feeling the rhythm of my heartbeat as a reminder that life was still flowing through me. Even while my spirit wrestled with uncertainty, I began to notice how memories resurfaced like delicate fragments of time, childhood laughter, long-forgotten promises, quiet evenings where everything felt safe and unbroken. And in those memories, I felt a soft ache, a mixture of gratitude and longing, because I finally understood how precious every ordinary moment truly was. The news I had received continued to linger in my mind like a shadow that followed closely behind. Yet alongside that shadow, there was also a gentle light, a light made of strength, of faith, of silent courage that whispered to my heart, reminding me that even in vulnerability, there is dignity. And even in fear, there is resilience waiting to awaken. With every sunrise that painted the sky, I realized that life was teaching me to see through a new lens, one that revealed how fragile our existence is and how meaningful every breath becomes when we understand that nothing is guaranteed. I found myself reflecting on the conversations I never had, the emotions I never expressed, the moments I wished I had treasured more deeply when time still felt limitless. There were nights when the air felt heavier than usual. When my thoughts drifted into quiet corners of my soul, and the reality of my diagnosis wrapped itself around my heart like a silent confession I could not ignore, yet within that heaviness, I also felt a powerful awakening, a realization that this journey was not meant to make me weaker, but to help me discover a strength I had never known before. I learned that courage is not always about fighting loudly. Sometimes it is about standing still, breathing slowly, and accepting the truth with grace, even when tears find their way to the surface. There were moments when I looked at the sky and felt as if it was listening to my fears, my hopes, my questions. Moments when I spoke without words, sharing my heart with the universe in a silent conversation only my soul could understand. I thought about the people who walk beside us every day without knowing the silent battles we carry within. And I felt a deep connection with every unseen story, every hidden struggle, every quiet warrior who continues to move forward despite the weight on their shoulders. And through that understanding, I realized something profound. That pain does not isolate us. It reveals how deeply human we are. How connected our hearts truly remain even across distances and unspoken feelings. My diagnosis may have shaken me, but it also grounded me, reminding me that life is not measured by how long we live, but by how deeply we feel, how sincerely we love, and how bravely we continue to rise when the world feels uncertain beneath our feet. As my journey unfolded further, I began to listen more closely to the whispers of my inner voice, the one that urged me to slow down, to breathe, to embrace the gentle rhythm of time rather than rushing through it. I noticed how the world carried a softer beauty when seen through eyes that finally understood impermanence. The way a single smile could warm an entire moment. The way a simple touch could feel like an anchor in troubled waters. The way silence itself could become comforting instead of frightening. And in that stillness, I made a promise to myself that no matter what lies ahead, I will honor my story with courage. I will honor my emotions with honesty. And I will honor my journey with a heart that refuses to surrender to despair. Because even when the road ahead feels unpredictable, the strength within the human spirit remains deeper, stronger, and more luminous than we ever realize. So hear me closely, my beloved child. This chapter of my life is not just a story of diagnosis or struggle. It is a story of awakening, of transformation, of discovering how powerful the soul becomes when it learns to stand in truth. I am still here, still breathing through every moment, still learning to walk with grace through uncertainty, and still finding meaning in the spaces where pain and hope intertwine. And as my journey continues, I want you to feel the heartbeat of these words, to sense the quiet strength rising through every line, because what lies ahead is not an ending. It is a deeper beginning, one that carries revelations, emotions, and truths that will shape everything that follows next. My beloved child, as the journey continued, I found myself standing in moments that felt heavier than silence itself. Moments where every thought carried weight and every breath felt like a fragile thread tying me to the present. There were days when the world outside seemed loud and restless. Yet inside my heart, everything moved slowly, delicately, as if time itself was being careful not to disturb the emotions I was holding within. I would sit near the window, watching the sky as it shifted from golden dawn to quiet evening. And in those hours, I reflected on every chapter of my life that had brought me here. I remembered the dreams I once chased with fearless passion, the memories that still live softly inside my soul, and the countless moments I once considered ordinary, but now realized were miracles in disguise. The truth of my diagnosis lingered in every corner of my thoughts. Yet alongside it, something even deeper was awakening, a profound understanding of what it truly means to feel alive. There were times when I wondered how different things might have been if I had known sooner. If I had appreciated each day with the awareness that nothing in this world is promised. I thought about the people who crossed my path. The connections that shaped my heart, the conversations that now echo like delicate whispers in memory. Each recollection unfolded like a fragile thread of light, guiding me gently through the maze of uncertainty. And through every reflection, I realized that life is not defined by the moments we plan, but by the moments that transform us without warning. My journey through hospital halls, through quiet nights of contemplation, through days filled with both courage and fear, has taught me that every soul carries unseen battles. And every heart holds stories that the world may never hear unless we choose to speak them. And so I speak not with weakness, but with strength, because sharing my truth is not surrender, it is healing. There is a quiet power that rises when we begin to understand the true meaning of connection. When we realize that every listener, every heart that feels these words becomes part of this story, in a way deeper than distance or time can measure. When I share my journey, I do so with the hope that those who hear it may find strength in their own struggles, hope in their own darkness, courage in their own moments of uncertainty. I imagine someone somewhere listening with silent tears. Someone who has also walked through hospital corridors. Someone who has felt the weight of unspoken fears resting on their chest. And in that imagined presence, I feel companionship, a beautiful reminder that we are never truly alone. Even when our battles feel invisible to the world, the act of opening my heart, of allowing my voice to travel beyond my own pain, creates a bridge where understanding replaces isolation and compassion becomes a language that every soul can feel. As I walk deeper into this chapter, I have learned that strength is not found in pretending to be unbroken. It is found in embracing every fracture, every scar, every vulnerable truth that shapes who we are. I have learned to hold my fears gently, instead of pushing them away. To listen to my heart when it trembles, to honor the tears that fall not as signs of weakness, but as proof that I am still alive, still feeling, still human. The world may continue spinning with its noise and rush, but within me there is a slow sacred rhythm, a rhythm that reminds me to cherish every moment, to value every breath, to treasure every connection that brings warmth to my soul. And in that rhythm, I find the courage to keep moving forward, not as a symbol of perfection, but as a testament to resilience. So hear me now, my beloved child. This journey is still unfolding and its meaning continues to deepen with every passing moment. I stand here not as someone defeated but as someone transformed, someone who has walked through fear and emerged with a heart that understands life in a way it never did before. The story does not end here. It grows. It expands. It breathes with every emotion that rises and every truth yet to be revealed. Stay close to this path. Feel its heartbeat. Walk with me through every remaining chapter. Because what lies ahead carries revelations, strength, and a depth of truth that will continue to shape the soul in ways words alone may never fully describe. My beloved child, as I step into this final stretch of the story I have been unfolding before you, I feel a deep stillness within my heart. A stillness that carries both the weight of everything I have endured and the quiet strength I have discovered along the way. There are moments now when I look back, on the path behind me, the hospital lights, the trembling conversations, the nights filled with silent prayers of courage, and I realize that every experience, every emotion, every fragile breath has shaped me into someone far more aware of life's true meaning than I ever was before. I no longer see my diagnosis only as a moment of fear, but as a profound awakening, a doorway through which I have walked into a deeper understanding of myself, my journey, and the incredible fragility and beauty of existence. In this awareness, I feel a soft glow within my soul, as though even the most painful moments have been stitched together with threads of resilience that now hold my spirit upright. With every passing day, I have learned to embrace the uncertainty that once frightened me, to accept that not every question will find an answer, and not every chapter will unfold the way we wish it would. Yet within that uncertainty, I have found purpose. The purpose of cherishing every second, of loving more sincerely, of speaking with honesty, and of valuing every connection that lights my path. There were times when fear tried to silence my voice. But courage rose like a quiet dawn inside me, reminding me that my story was not meant to fade into silence. It was meant to be lived, felt, and shared with a heart unafraid of vulnerability. I have come to understand that true strength is not loud or unbreakable. True strength is gentle, compassionate, and deeply human, born from every tear that falls and every breath that continues despite the weight upon the chest. There are moments now when I stand beneath the open sky and feel as though the universe is listening to my gratitude, to my hopes, to the quiet promises I whisper to my own soul. I think of the people who have crossed my life's path, the ones who stood beside me in silence, the ones who never knew my battles yet unknowingly gave me strength through their presence. Their kindness, their memory etched softly in the corners of my heart. And I realize that life is not measured by the span of days we live, but by the depth of love we give and receive, by the moments that leave imprints on our spirit, by the courage to keep moving forward, even when the road is fragile beneath our feet. My journey has taught me that every human heart carries a story like this. A story of hidden struggles, quiet bravery, and emotions too deep for words. And in knowing that, I feel connected to every soul who has ever faced their own turning point and chosen to rise. As I continue walking ahead, I do not carry fear as I once did. Instead, I carry acceptance, awareness, and a newfound reverence for life itself. I wake each day with gratitude for the simple things, the warmth of morning light, the softness of a familiar voice, the comfort of just being present in a world that continues to move, breathe, and unfold around me. I understand now that we are given only a finite number of moments, and it is our responsibility to honor them, to live truthfully, to love deeply, to speak from the heart, and to never let silence bury the words our soul longs to share. My diagnosis may have changed the rhythm of my journey, but it has also illuminated my path with meaning, clarity, and the realization that every heartbeat is a miracle we often forget to notice. So hear this, my beloved child. This story is not one of defeat, but of awakening, of transformation, of rising with grace through the unknown. I stand here not as someone broken, but as someone renewed, someone who has faced the fragile edges of life and discovered within them a profound and unshakable strength. The journey continues and I walk forward with courage in my spirit, softness in my heart, and a deeper understanding of what it truly means to live. If my voice has reached you, if my truth has touched even a small part of your soul, then this story has found its purpose. To remind you that life in all its uncertainty is still filled with meaning, with hope, and with a quiet, enduring light that lives within us all. Subscribe our channel for daily prayer prophetic.